She went and bought her one of the new Hyundai Konas, whatever they're called.
Yeah,
something like that.
All right, it is 5:30. Appreciate everybody being here. We'll go ahead with our work session to get our council meeting started at 6 o'clock. First items are the approval of minutes. There were no changes. Any questions? All right, set public hearings, Resolution 24-151, approve abatement of unsafe conditions at 718 Cashin Street Northwest. Set public hearing for Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024. No changes, and there's no vote tonight. We're just setting the hearing, so any questions? Resolution 24-152, approve abatement of unsafe conditions at 2913 Leesdale Avenue. Set public hearing for Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024. No change, any questions? All right, public hearings, Resolution 24095, approve abatement of unsafe conditions at 425 Vine Street Northwest. Public hearing was tabled to August 5th, 2024.
Still no changes.
Okay, any questions? All right, appeals, Resolution 24153, approved Decatur Morgan EMS penalty 24001 for not meeting first quarter fractal response times. Okay, any questions? Resolutions, Resolution 24154, approved special use permit extension for Tillman Infrastructure to construct a new wireless telecommunication tower for AT&T at Runnymede Avenue Southwest. Any questions? Resolution 24155, declare surplus of vehicles no longer used by Street and Environmental Services Department. Any questions? Resolution 24156, award bid number 24021 for grave opening and closing to Osborne Grave Services being the lone respondent.
It has been updated, but I inadvertently uploaded the previous bid tab last week, and it showed the previous award pricing, but it's been updated. It was $283 years ago per opening, now it's $400. I just wanted to point that out to everybody.
Okay, any questions? Okay, yeah. Resolution 24157, award bid number 24022 for top dress bunker sand to Alliance Sand being the lowest responsible bidder.
No change.
Any questions? Resolution 24158, approval to replace HVAC unit at Aquadome Gym. Okay, any questions? Resolution 24159, authorize the mayor to sign agreement with ALDOT for reconnecting community grant.
No changes. Council has questions.
Any questions? Resolution 24160, authorize the mayor to select AECom for preliminary engineering services for the reconnecting community grant.
No changes.
Any questions? Resolution 24161, authorize mayor to sign agreement with DU to upgrade street lighting to LED.
No changes.
Any questions? Resolution 24162, approved proposal from TTL for professional services related to the Decatur Materials Recovery Facility expansion. Any questions? Resolution 24163, approved purchase of a pickup broom attachment for a rubber tire loader for the Decatur Morgan County landfill. Any questions? Resolution 24164, approved purchase of a generator for the scale house at the Decatur Morgan County Regional Landfill. Any questions? Boards and committees, and the first is a mayoral appointment, so there's no vote, but it's to reappoint Cedric Williams to the Decatur Housing Authority Board with term expiring August 5th, 2029. Any questions? And then the next two, well, the next one was on last week, yeah. Appoint Erica Huber to the Board of Zoning Adjustment supernumerary position with term expiring December 31st, 2027. Any questions? She's a District 3 representative. And then appoint Jennifer Geiger to the Library Board with term expiring June 30th, 2027, and that's a District 5, and that was an addition to the agenda. Yes, replacing Bill Wiley.
Will,
All right.
Will that fill the library board?
No, we still have a District 2.
One from District 2.
All right, we will get started at 6. Thanks. All right, we'll call the meeting to order. Jeremy Sherrill will lead us in our invocation and pledge.
Precious Lord, we want to pause and recognize your goodness, your mercy, and your lordship today. We ask humbly that you would help us to work together in a spirit of unity to accomplish the best we can for the city of Decatur. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Jeremy. Roll call. Here.
Here. Here. Here.
Here. All right, first on the agenda is approval of minutes. We'll take these together.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper,
Second.
second by Mr. Pike. Mr. Faruqi signed in on 2 of these items.
Okay, so by taking them together, does that mean I can't adjust to two of the issues? I think just on one of those.
Yeah, just tell us which one's in your issue.
Okay, first one is going to be in chronological order, 7-8 work session. And it's discussion point about weed abatements. There's a bunch of them. You and I had a discussion about weed abatements. And
Yeah.
now Josh, where's Josh? Did a great job. You know, ever since we had that discussion, I don't know how many Facebook inundations I had of him describing how the weed abatements work. So we all got educated on that, and I appreciate that. We're spending it, look at the budget, it's number 56067 in the budget according to Mr. Kingster's line item. We're paying $85 each for each of those iterations of weed abatements, but we're charging, or we're actually paying the company $95. We're $10 short every time we do this. And then $200 of that goes into which fund, Mayor?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't.
Because Josh did a great job describing how that works. $295 or $93.50 every single time we do a weed abatement. Now, and Josh had a great idea too. He talked about involving the churches, you know, in some of the programs. Have you seen those weed abatement things he's done?
Yes, I have.
Okay, and I thought it was a great idea. Have we done anything to try and orchestrate that in the city of Decatur? Do we go to the churches and say, would you be willing to support?
As far as the plan he has related to churches, I have not seen that. I've said I've seen weed abatements.
Okay. Well, that's not my question. My question is, have we done anything with Josh's idea of trying to maybe make a plan or a program?
Josh, have you discussed a plan or anything like that with me?
I can talk to that if you want to do.
We can do it. Josh, we can do it after an hour.
Okay. Because it's a great idea, I think. Or maybe we took that, budgeted $8,500, maybe bought some equipment for the city of Decatur for people to check out. Because in the military, typically in the housing area, if there's a problem in that housing area, you go to somebody and you say, hey, I've got a lot of weeds, I don't have any equipment here, you know, I'm PCSing moving between various parts of the country. Could you help me? And they'll say, oh yeah, you just check this out. Check out that mower, check out that piece of equipment. I suggest that might be a better use of our funds coming into the city of Decatur, because if it's $295 in the budget, that times 100, almost $30,000 worth of equipment we could buy for our city, which might be a better use of those funds, number one. It might also help people understand there's a place we can go to try and get this issue taken care of. So I'd just like your thoughts on that.
We'll talk with Josh.
Okay, so that's the first one, the work session back then. The second one is the minutes from the July 15th council meeting. And I asked at that point when Chief Pena's plan would be made public. I think I can still go.
Yeah, I got you.
Anybody have an answer on that?
Yes, you did ask that.
Right.
And I said that I thought it would be possibly that week.
Yeah.
And there was
That was 2
this.
weeks ago.
Sir?
It was 2 weeks ago.
Yes, sir, that's right. It was determined by our communications specialist and chief to hold off on that at the time. And Chief has been gone last week to a conference. He's back today. I've had a busy schedule. I haven't talked with him, but I will this week.
Okay. I think Mr. McMaster also said he would check with the chief and see when his plan was ready. Any updates on that? Okay. So that plan came out on May 15th of this year. So we are now fully almost 3 months into bullet points of light with nothing, no substance, no briefings, no discussion. That's a problem, I would suggest, for you and for the chief and for you, Mr. McMasters, as the police liaison, to ask those questions so we can get an answer sometime soon. And, you know, I'll be honest, if the chief wants to use my time to come up with a plan to talk about it, I'm happy.
Nah, not now, but just address the council.
Mr. Jackson also asked the mayor to check in what the police department was following in terms of the tow ordinance.
So I did.
And
They acknowledged receipt of my request and that they're handling the ordinance.
they're handling the ordinance.
Yes, sir.
So what happened when it didn't work?
I'm not so sure that it didn't,
So what are you sure of?
what I just said.
Okay, is that you've talked to the chief and the chief said, okay. What is the role of a council liaison?
I'll answer that, but it doesn't have anything to do with the minutes. So we'll end on this, but it is actually a liaison between the council and those departments.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, so could you elaborate on that a little?
Just any information that, or help or issues, like, as an example, budget time that department may need, that department head may communicate with whoever the liaison is, and the liaison can bring that back to the council as something to work on or a need that they have.
So the departments still come up to you. Now, what if you identify something in the city that needs to be fixed?
If who does?
You do.
A liaison, I don't understand.
Well, okay, so let's just talk about the weed abatements.
Yeah.
If there's an issue with weed abatements, we've just discussed an option.
Yeah, we would bring that, typically if it's like an operational issue, it should go to the mayor if it's an issue that a citizen raised or something, it would go to the mayor as he's in charge of operations.
And how would we provide or get feedback that that occurred?
Should be from probably the mayor, actually, but he may communicate back through the council person that sent him the request.
Typically do.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move to setting public hearings, and the first item is Resolution 24-151, approve abatement of unsafe. I'm sorry. We do have a motion in a second. I was just trying to move on. Roll call. Aye.
Aye.
The minutes are approved 4-0. Now we'll move to set public hearings. Resolution 24-151, approve abatement of unsafe conditions at 718 Cashin Street Northwest, set public hearing for Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024. Josh?
So this one, going back to January 23, tree fell on the house. No action's been taken, and it's unsafe. It's beginning to become a public nuisance.
And we did have someone sign in on this item, but this is a setting of a public hearing, so we're not voting on this tonight, and we can't take public comment on something where we're not, correct, Herman, if you want to explain
The
that.
applicant or the one that's being asked to address that is not here, so they need to hear, both sides need to hear the
Yeah,
issues.
and which we would hear when there is a public hearing. So any questions to Josh? All right, Resolution 24-152, approve abatement of unsafe conditions at 2913 Leesdale Avenue Southwest, set public hearing for Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024. Any questions, or Josh?
No.
All right, we'll set the public hearing then for Tuesday, September 3rd. All right, public hearings, Resolution 24095, approve abatement of unsafe conditions at 425 Vine Street Northwest. Public hearing was tabled to August 5th, 2024. And I know, did you want to speak on this item?
Well, yeah, I mean,
I think
we need to have the public hearing
No.
probably before.
No.
I would, I guess, go ahead and make a motion to table that again. That is in Councilman Jackson's district. I think it'd be fair, he's more familiar with the building and the people involved to wait until he's back to have that public hearing. So I'll make a motion that we table this.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Pike, second by Mr. McMasters to table this item, and it would be on the August 19th council meeting. And I will say we have done this in the past where the person, I think it was actually you, were not in attendance at the meeting, and it was an item just like this in your district, and we tabled it to the next meeting. All right, any discussion on this tabling this item? Roll call. Aye.
Aye.
Resolution 24095 will be tabled until the August 19th council meeting. All right, appeals, resolution 24153, approved Decatur Morgan EMS penalty 24001 for not meeting first quarter fractal response times.
Yes, sir. The Decatur Morgan EMS was assessed a $5,000 financial penalty and 5 points for having a 82% fractal response time in the police jurisdiction the first quarter of this year, and they have appealed it. The options are to uphold it, which is what the resolution says. You can amend it down, or you can overturn it completely.
All right, and this is also a public hearing, so we'll open the floor now. The public hearing, if there's anyone here that wants to speak on this item. Tyler.
Tyler Stinson, Director of EMS for Decatur Morgan Hospital. So in the first quarter of this year, we were assessed a $5,000 penalty and 5 points for missing response times in the police jurisdiction. And at that time, we responded to 82 calls. 68 of those we met within the time standard. Looking back at that, January, there was 35 calls. That was a large call volume for the month. Some of that was probably due to the snow and ice, as you remember, that we had that month. We made 27 of those. We responded to 21 calls in February. We made 17 of those within the time standard, and then we responded to 26 calls in March, and we made 24 of those. You can see where we made improvements. We made some adjustments to our posting plan, where we post our trucks throughout the city to better cover all the citizens.
Kelly Powers, president of the hospital. I just want to say we struggle with staffing, trying to get paramedics and EMTs to staff, and we're paying a lot of overtime and extra for that. And if you could just help us with the $5,000 amount. We kept the points. Again, we want to make sure that we're doing the right thing, and we've met all the times, I think, since then. Again, ambulance is not a moneymaker for us, but we want to do the right thing and have the best equipment and the best trucks, and we've committed that to the city, and I think done a great job since we've taken over, and I'm just asking for that to be waived.
You have some of the best equipment in the state. You guys have some of the top tier stuff. It's good stuff.
All right, thank y'all.
And she said she believes if they have met their time since then.
Yeah. Okay, anything from you guys?
No.
Okay, anything else? If there's anyone here to speak on this item, can speak now. All right, seeing no one here to speak, we'll consider the public hearing closed. And a motion here in a second, in favor vote would be to uphold the penalty. A no vote would be to give a waiver for either the points or is this just keep the points? Yeah.
Yeah, you can, if you're going to separate them, that you would need to amend the resolution. If you were going to reduce it or eliminate it, you need to amend the resolution and then vote on that.
So does this resolution just for points, or is it just
for both?
Points and the $5,000?
Right. Gotcha. All right, is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pike.
I'm going to second it to get it on the floor, but I will be abstaining.
Okay. Second by Mr. McMasters.
With abstaining? Without any conflict?
All right, we do have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I'm kind of curious, where was the start point and the destination?
I would have to go back and look at all those calls and see where.
There were multiple calls.
There was one that, in the PJ that put them out, is that right?
No, there were more.
The way
There were multiple-
rapid response work is that basically you get a point for every time you make your time, you get 0 for every time you don't, and you have to get 90%. You have to click the yes box on at least 90%. So you could miss one by 2 hours, it's going to be the same as missing it by a minute. Same way if making it in 30 seconds versus 12:59.
Well, I think that the majority of the calls, they were within a minute, sometimes maybe 2 minutes of missing. They were very close to each one of them. I mean, I struggle with penalizing them on something like that. I understand holding somebody accountable or having something to hold them accountable. However, with the amount of calls they receive in the city and in the PJ, with staffing issues that are currently happening in EMS across the board, this is not just affecting Morgan County. This affects the entire state of Alabama and the entire country. So I struggle with finding the individuals or penalizing them at all in this situation, even though they I think y'all have agreed to keep the points and not the $5,000 penalty. But either way, I struggle with penalizing them in this situation. Well, not only that, there's one other thing as well. As I believe it says in the ordinance that the coordinator, who's the coordinator, what's the position called that you?
EMS coordinator.
EMS coordinator, there we go. I think the EMS coordinator has got to penalize them in this situation. I think that there needs to be an amendment in the ordinance that allows discretion in this situation that should not be placed on us. So there's, and this is no offense to anybody up here, but there's people that sit on this board that do not have any medical experience, and I have very minimal medical experience, very, very small amount compared to the individuals that are sitting over there. So I know that there's an ARB board where individuals that sit there deal with them on a day-to-day basis. However, I struggle with finding them in this situation. So,
Thank you. Any other discussion?
You know, I would say the time has been extended. Was it 2 minutes? What, we changed it.
12 to 13.
We went from 12 to 13 in the PJ. You know, and this has come up before. First, I want to say I'm extremely grateful for the service that y'all have provided. I think these guys would probably echo that. It sounds like it's been pretty smooth. So thankful for that. In the past, with a different provider, we've had similar issues. I can't remember. I think this council did one appeal where we reduced the fine for that provider. Was there another one after that?
We did one for.
I know we did one for Decatur Morgan, but you know, so.
My recollection is only one came up before the council with
The previous.
first response.
Okay.
Yeah.
well, another thing, you know, it's going to sound very, I guess you could say very biased, but in situations where people call 911, you know, emergency services, right? So we're penalizing, or we're possibly going to penalize them in situations where people have called 911 for non-emergencies, right? So every time somebody calls 911, an ambulance has got to respond. The fire department usually responds. And so in this situation, I would think that there's a statistic out there that says that 75% of 911 calls across the border are non-life-threatening calls, non-emergency calls. And in that situation, in my opinion, we need to factor that in there as well. So, you know, how many of these calls are actually life and death calls? How many of them were serious matters that actually needed an ambulance?
The problem is that's a very gray stance. I feel like
It's not a great
like an
stance,
emergency.
though.
You want to go? You want me to talk? Or?
Go ahead, have at it.
These things are pretty black and white. When somebody calls 911, they're looking for a response. We came up with a time and extended that. And I think we're tasked with ensuring that, and again, I think they're doing a great job, but we are tasked with, we have an ordinance that we adopted that has time limits in it, and there are consequences if you do not meet those. And I think that's what we're tasked with now, is to make a decision. Did they meet the ordinance? And they did not. So how do we go from here?
I ask that each one of you agree with penalizing them with just the points and not a fine, or not a financial penalty.
All right, any other discussion? The only thing I'll say is I was pretty clear when we had the last appeal that either two things needed to happen, either of these or both. The first was if there are issues with the ordinance and it's not attainable or it's not fair to the provider. It needs to be worked on and changed. I don't think we've gone down that road. I don't know if there's been any requests to do that, but I did say that in the meeting that if it needed to be amended, I was open to that. I don't think there's been any changes or discussion. And the other thing I said was I would uphold the next penalty that came in front of us. So that's kind of where I am on this. I do echo Mr. Pike. I was getting emails almost weekly before Decatur Morgan took over or came into the ambulance service, providing that to our citizens. I've gotten 0 complaints since they have. So I hate to do this. Maybe there's some work that needs to be done on the ordinance to make it work for them, but they have done a great job. But we have an ordinance, we have to go by it. So that's where I am. All right, any other discussion? All right, we do have a motion and a second. Roll call. Aye.
Abstain.
No.
Resolution 24-153 is approved 2-1 with 1 abstention. Moving to resolutions. Resolution 24-154 approves special use permit extension for Tillman Infrastructure to construct a new wireless telecommunication tower for AT&T at Runnymede Avenue Southwest.
Good afternoon, President, Council, Mayor, David Andrews with CMS. This resolution is for extension. About 6 months ago, the council approved a new cell tower to be placed beside the substation there on Runnymede, right off of the belt line. During that process, we discussed that they were also having to go through the historical approval process with the city and the state. That had not been accomplished when it was approved by you guys. It still has not been accomplished. They're still working on that historic approval. They want to extend their special use permit, so if they do get the approval, they'll be able to build the tower. CMS has reviewed the request and recommends approval.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. McMaster.
Second.
Second by Mr. Pepper. Any discussion? Roll call. Aye.
Aye.
Resolution 24-154 is approved 4-0. Resolution 24-155 declares surplus of vehicles no longer used by Street and Environmental Services Department.
Good evening, Jeremy Sherrill, procurement agent. This is a list of 3 vehicles no longer in use by Street and Environmental and a request for surplus.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper, second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call. Aye.
Aye.
Resolution 24-155 is approved 4-0. Resolution 24-156, award bid number 24021 for grave opening and closing to Osborne Grave Service, being the lone responder.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper.
Second.
Second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call. Aye.
Aye.
Resolution 24-156 approved 4-0. Resolution 24-157, award bid number 24022 for top dress bunker sand to Alliance Sand, being the lowest responsible bidder.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper, second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call. Aye.
Aye.
Resolution 24-157 is approved 4-0. Resolution 24-158, approval to replace HVAC unit at Aquadome Gym. Aaron?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. This resolution is to replace the HVAC that services the gym and the hallway at the Aquadome. It does, like I said, heat and air.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Pepper, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call. Aye.
Aye.
Resolution 24-158 is approved 4-0. Aaron, do you know that time frame on?
6 to 8 weeks.
Okay, thanks. Resolution 24-159 authorizes the mayor to sign agreement with ALDOT for reconnecting community grant.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper.
Second.
Second by Mr. Pike. Alan.
This is our grant that we received from FHWA for reconnecting communities. It's a little over $18 million, so we just request your approval.
All right, we do have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call. Aye.
Aye.
Resolution 24-159 is approved 4-0. Resolution 24-160 authorizes the mayor to to select AECom for preliminary engineering services for the Reconnecting Community Grant.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper,
Second.
second by Mr. McMasters, and that's just they're managing the project for us.
They're going to do the preliminary engineering. We interviewed 4 different firms and we recommended AECom to do that.
Okay. All right, any other discussion? Roll call. Aye.
Aye.
Resolution 24-160 is approved 4-0. Resolution 24-161, authorize mayor to sign agreement with DU to upgrade street lighting to LED.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call. Aye.
Aye.
Resolution 24-161 is approved 4-0. Resolution 24-162, approved proposal from TTL for professional services related to the Decatur Materials Recovery Facility expansion.
Good evening, Wanda Tyler, Landfill and Recycling. This is a proposal from TTL to take care of the design work and the construction that we need for a new loading dock at our newly renovated recycling center. This is a $22,000 proposal that will be reimbursed by a grant we just received from the Recycling Partnership.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call. Aye.
Aye.
Resolution 24-162 is approved 4-0. Resolution 24-163, approved purchase of a pickup broom attachment for a rubber tire loader for the Decatur Morgan County landfill.
So this attachment will be used with some equipment that we already have on site, and it's a broom that will clean the streets, the access roads. We're responsible for keeping down dust, and it's part of our air emissions permit. So we're asking for your approval for this equipment.
Motion by Mr. Pepper.
Second.
Second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call. Aye.
Aye.
Resolution 24-163 is approved 4-0. Resolution 24-164, approved purchase of a generator for the scale house at the Decatur Morgan County Regional Landfill.
So the hub of our facility is the scale house. It's the first and last point of contact for every customer. And everyone, I don't know if it's because we're so close to the river or the metal that we have in the landfill, but we have some major storms. And as a result, we have outages. This will make sure that hub stays operational as much as possible. So we're asking for your approval for a generator and propane tank for this facility.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Pepper, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call. Aye.
Aye.
Resolution 24-164 is approved 4-0. Next, we have boards and committees. Reappoint Cedric Williams to the Decatur Housing Authority Board with term expiring August 5th, 2029. There's no vote on that. It's a mayoral appointment. Next, we have appoint Erica Huber to the Board of Zoning Adjustment supernumerary position with term expiring December 31st, 2027. Motion by Mr.
Second.
McMasters, second by Mr. Pepper. Any discussion? Roll call. Aye.
Aye.
Erica Huber is appointed with a vote of 4-0. Next, we have appoint Jennifer Geiger to the Library Board with term expiring June 30th, 2027.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper.
Second.
Second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call. Aye.
Aye.
Jennifer Geiger is appointed to the Library Board with a vote of 4-0. Next council work session will be held on August 12th, 2024 at 5 p.m. Next regular council meeting will be held on August 19th, 2024 at 10 a.m. Anything else from directors? Okay. We will move into our public comments, and I will just go in order. Mr. Faruqi, I had you first on the list.
Okay, Jane, who knows what the budget is for the police department?
I looked at that. about a month ago. And
$18.7 million.
that's police department or public safety?
Police department.
Okay.
So I was going to say it's around 17.
18.7, 10 million goes for salaries. The cost per capita for Decatur Police Department is $322.41 per person. So every citizen in our city is paying $322.41 for our police department. Huntsville Police Department is only $248.86 per person. So we're paying 30% more per capita for a police department that will not even come to a meeting here to talk to us and give us the plan.
They have a lot more people.
So again, I ask, are we getting our money's worth with this? Is that something that the independent review will take a look at?
It's a comprehensive review. I mean, it'll help us make sure we're have the appropriate budget and number of people and all those things.
Okay. Because we're Big Ten city. Mayor put that out, the city council put it out, or somebody put it out. And number 10 of all those cities, we're paying 30% more for our police department. Okay, we also spent $107K on new pistols, SIG 320s and 365. Do you have familiar with those pistols by chance? Liaisons?
No.
Okay. There's a problem with a thing called a not drop safe with the SIG 320s that we bought for $107K. And there's also a lack of an external safety, which results in negligent discharges sometimes. So maybe we bought something wrong we shouldn't have.
The not drop thing, Mr. Freaky, I think that was fixed. I think there was a recall through SIG, and they actually fixed that issue.
$107K for pistols for this year's budget. A lot of money. And then community development. In the budget, we budgeted number 56067, Business Development Conference in the UK Air Show, $13,000. I saw that on Facebook. What did we get out of that?
Well, it just ended. So,
Well, Dave's here.
yeah, the idea is obviously a lot of municipalities around here attend that. It's no different in my mind. I'm not going to get into if we did or not because I don't know that yet. But just like I would attend trade shows and create contacts and try to, for my business that I need to close those deals. That's the idea.
You would look at it from specific, measurable.
Is it cost effective? Yeah.
Yep. And again, I go back to what do we get out of it? We just spent that money, and I'd ask this august audience to maybe ask that question of your counterparts in the council area.
I think it's a legitimate question.
Yeah.
And I think the answer you probably get, although again, I think it was over last week, is that we hopefully did make good contacts about this area. We have ULA, Huntsville's got a lot of aviation, that we can bring folks to Morgan County, Decatur,
If you look at
secondary.
ULA in the last year, they're one of the largest employers in the city. They just had a $300 million expansion. So I would think that it's worth going to see what other suppliers they have. Since ULA's gotten here, there's been Dynetics, so what else could come because of that?
Those sound like objectives.
I know they've come with different tooling. There's a lot of local companies that are now tooling parts specifically for them. What other suppliers may come in? So I think, I think it's worth going.
Right. Well, I think it's worth going. I'd love to go too. I'd watch all kinds of air show stuff. It'd be kind of fun. But again, for the city to spend the money to do it, I think, for the Senate to send Katie Britt and an entourage to go makes total sense.
A lot of cities send people.
Right.
Yeah.
But a lot of them are also like down in Mobile, they're making planes.
Sure.
Yeah, so that kind of makes
They
sense.
were there.
All right, next is Justin Weil.
Okay, thank you. My question pertains to the resolution that just passed on the replacement of the streetlights with LED ones.
Well, I'm sorry. I didn't realize he wanted to speak on that agenda
Yeah,
item.
it's all right.
Okay. All right. I would have called you, but
Okay, you're good. So this agreement, will it replace all the sodium streetlights all at once, or is it just as they go out? How is this?
I think the plan on that is to, whatever that, I can't remember what the span was, is to change those out to LED.
Should it be 200 lights?
Yeah. So I guess all at once, as they can do the construction. But,
Okay.
yeah.
And does this agreement add any new streetlights in terms of like public safety or anything?
I don't believe it's
We'll just be
any-
replacing those.
Okay, all right. And will this increase utility rates at all?
No.
No? Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Next is I think it's Roby Smith.
Yes, sir.
So,
Been up there for a while, don't make no sense. Come over here and talk to y'all, but, and I'm correct myself about this, because y'all, in the beginning, you done wrong. And I'm sorry to say it, but it's the truth. I've been there all my life. But what, even with the incident of the north with the woman that was murdered, even they knocked on her door. They had courage to knock on her door. But now the situation Steve handled, just ambushed. And we up here begging y'all to do right. It ain't no, when you know what done happened and seen what done happened, you need to do what's right. It shouldn't be up here. That chief of police, whatever he is he done went to his officers and said, I'm tired of what happened here. It's not gonna happen no more. All of y'all gonna stand accountable for what done happened. He ain't done that. When you come up here, and then you got rats and a protester and stuff like that. And we come up here and have to beg you to do right. You still doing wrong. It may not apply to you. You out there doing it, but the chief and them, they out here they got fake Facebook pages. And that kind of sort of stuff, like in the 50s and 40s, hiding under the sheets. It's terrible. You understand what I'm trying to say? We got to do right about this thing, or we ain't going nowhere. You got to do right. And I know you got all these sophisticated statistics about what happened in the last, what y'all have done, but we ain't seen nothing. And that's the problem. They ashamed of what done happened. And they won't, but when I kept thinking about back in the Bible days, when Moses was talking to Pharaoh. That's what we up here doing, y'all. Please. And it ain't doing no good. There ain't no right in what's going to happen here. The only thing to be done is correction, fix it. That's right. Make this place great. Make Decatur a great place. And this is where it starts right here. We have an opportunity. Somebody got to take forward. But in all confidence, somebody got to die. And somebody just going to make this thing right. We need to, we need to do what's right. I don't know who you got to fight. I said, fight a hole. Now, if it was me, I think y'all clean the whole slate, start all over again. I'm not being ugly. I'm just saying, you know what? It's good. And like I said, I go back to day one when it happened. When I woke up that morning, heard about it. And that's what we nullified. I respect it.
yes, sir. We just hit 4 minutes, so if you can just wrap up your last one. Thank you. Rodney.
Here's what about the young lady that got killed. Okay? Now, I'm thinking that the United States law applies everywhere.
Okay, the day he did, the next day, they put him in jail. They locked him up without a bond. He's still locked up. What was the due process? Is this not the same due process? Because I'm lost. So if they did it in Illinois, surely the same law applies in Alabama.
That is a question for the district attorney. That you're talking about convening a grand jury. Charges.
Well, they ain't convene no grand jury in over 24 hours.
They can. Yes, they can.
But they ain't did. You think they did?
They better have.
But okay, if they
because exactly what you're saying, the law.
Yeah, and if they better have, you know what, man? What he just said, that really makes this city just 1950.
But that is, but Rodney, I'm not trying to have a negative argument with you.
Yeah.
That's the truth. We don't convene grand juries sitting up here.
Right. What I'm saying is, okay.
I understand your complaint.
Yeah. Now, I know that action that they did, the mayor and the chief went along with it. Yep. Because that's what made it happen. Yep. All right. And they had a film similar to the film that Steve had. Yeah. And the officer who did it, he cut his off. Like the officer did, cut his off. Y'all, it's so much put together. I'm gonna let y'all know something. I was in Illinois when it happened. And the only reason why they didn't burn it down was because they acted the way they acted. Right. If it wasn't for that, y'all, I was scared. I was gonna go. I was gonna leave. I was gonna go because I thought it was gonna go crazy up there. I was there. You understand what I'm saying? But I'm showing you that. Listen to me, man. I'm like, whoa, what's the problem? Why is this thing is so obvious? And then you took the film and got it altered. If the film was all right, what you take it for? You the liaison. Did you ask them that? What you want them to do with the film? What you changing it for? Because see, you're supposed to be the voice between us and them. And you should have been asked that question. And then, on the film it said, he has a gun, he has a gun. Then the police said, that's not a gun. Well, they took that out of the second film.
Mr. Ladner, this is a part of a gag order situation.
I ain't on the gag. And see, this is another thing.
Guys.
All I'm sharing is that can't.
You want to enforce the law when you want to enforce the law. That's what you do. You enforce the law. But here's the thing, y'all. Here's the thing.
Guys, come on.
Y'all, here's what's happening. Y'all, we gotta fix this. Come on, man. Man, our city's just getting worse and worse, and it's getting crookeder and crookeder. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so many of you being exposed. That's God. They know me. That's God. They ain't the protesters. That's God exposing y'all, man. I'm telling you what's happening, man. Yeah. He said, like Moses told Pharaoh, let my people go. All right.
Thank you very much.
Okay, first of all, I'm going to start off with, where's Todd's plan? And I know he just asked that, but I'm going to ask it again, because that's what I was going to ask. And where is it?
Yeah.
Pause my time. Where is it?
It'll be out like 3 weeks ago.
I don't know.
So, in other words, there's no plan. There's no plan, and what I feel like you're doing to our community is you're having us to kick this can down the road, and nothing is going to happen. You're trying to waste time with this third party. Not saying that they're bad, but you're trying to waste time with this to make it so he can get closer to retirement. I don't know, but something has to be done with Todd, and it's time for Todd to disappear and leave. You know what I'm saying? Because there's no plan. So we've been waiting on this plan for how many months? The only thing I've seen was a bunch of black kids on social media in an ACES program, that's kind of offensive to me. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like we're trying to show our blackness right here, that we're dealing with black children. No, The thing is, it's the police department and it has to be cleaned up. And it cannot be cleaned up under this chief. Okay, now the biggest thing is, I'm gonna give each protester for failure to appear. Yeah. And what they're doing failure to appear. Yeah. They're not even real. They're taking them to the jail and then finding out that they don't have nothing on them. That is wrong. Yes, they done the same thing to me in 2008. In 2008, just to try, when I first came back here from A&M, just to try to figure out who I am. They are picking with our protesters again. And so what we're gonna do, y'all know the mayor's not gonna do anything. So you all need to come up with a vote and put the chief out. Because this town, like Ronnie said, it's going down the drain. The mayor, you need to take the road of Joe Biden. That's who you remind me of. And get up out of here. We need to get our city back in order. I'm done because I'm getting, and another thing. Hold on, this is my last call. Okay, we're trying to hold these young people back. Y'all don't see a lot of young people with us here because they don't want to do this peaceful stuff. They're ready to turn up because the thing that a young person said to me was, you got to do the same thing to them that they did to us. That's the only way we're going to fix it. And it seems like that's what y'all want us to do. I'm done. I'm over it.
Okay, so after hearing Sonia Massey's father describe how he was treated and how he found out his daughter being dead, it brought back memories of September 29th for me and how I was treated. So, and I just want to give a backstory because I've never shedded light on what happened on September 29th after I was contacted by a neighbor, never contacted by anybody here in the city of Decatur. So that night it happened, I got a text from work and said, something had happened. So they told me to go to the hospital. So I automatically go to Decatur Morgan Hospital because that's the closest hospital here. So get there, they don't have a Steve Perkins. Okay, so we go to Huntsville, so he must be in Huntsville. Well, they said that he was in surgery at Huntsville Hospital. Mm-hmm. So we get to Huntsville Hospital. They said they wouldn't even tell me if Steve was there. They said they had a John Doe. They wouldn't give me any information, me being his wife. They wouldn't tell me if he was alive, if he was even there. They wouldn't tell me anything. And I could tell when I got there, the look on their faces, they were like, I knew something had happened and they had messed up here in Decatur. So it seems like Decatur took him to Huntsville to get the heat off of them. So after about maybe 30 minutes or so in the hospital, we still have no answers. They put us out of the hospital at Huntsville Hospital only because we were asking what was the status of Steve. Was he living? Was he alive? What was going on? They wouldn't tell us anything. So they ended up putting us out of the Huntsville Hospital. We were outside for like 45 minutes before anyone came and got me to tell me that Steve had passed away. Now, I keep getting doctor bills for $100,000. When we got to Huntsville Hospital, they said Steve Perkins was in surgery. So after getting these bills, I called Huntsville Hospital. And I know all calls are recorded. And I said, I got the lady's name, and I said, could you tell me what services did y'all render to Steve Perkins? So why is there a $100,000 doctor bill? She put me on hold, and she said, ma'am, they didn't perform surgery on Steve. She said the only thing they did was gave him a bunch of blood. So why am I receiving $100,000 doctor bills when they say that they performed surgery on him and they didn't do anything but give him blood? So this is on record. Stop sending $100,000 doctor bills to me because I'm not paying them. They didn't perform surgery on them. They need to send them to the city of Decatur because they are the reasons why he was there in the first place. So just to go back to what I do feel it's somewhat how Sonia Massey's father felt, because to know something happened to a loved one and nobody in leadership, the chief, nobody, the mayor, nobody contacted me whatsoever. And the way we were treated at Huntsville Hospital was ridiculous. Ridiculous. I mean, they put us out of the hospital only because I was there trying to find out what had happened. And they still wouldn't tell us anything. And my best friend, who has a master's in nursing, she knew what they were doing was totally incorrect because she goes through this all the time. Someone should have immediately came out and contacted me. And before I left out of there, I talked to the investigator. One of the, I don't know if they were nurses or whoever goes back in the room with you. When I was walking out, she told me, she said, that's messed up what they did to Steve. So they knew this thing was messed up from the beginning, from the very beginning. They told me that at Huntsville Hospital, that should have never happened and it wasn't right. And also, I just want to leave, before I sit down, I would like to say this. The tow truck drivers, Caleb and Richie, they're not getting away with this. Because how could you pull a truck out of a man's driveway when you sit there and see him shot up and bleeding to death, and you still pull off with this man's truck and he's laying there dying? So Caleb Cone, Richie Brady, yeah, we ain't forgotten.
Just to piggyback off of some of what Trevor spoke about, that first night, the night at Huntsville Hospital, the investigator, so when I went to the house that night after it happened, they told me immediately when I got out of the truck, I was approached by, I want to say it was a sergeant, and he told me that Steve was in surgery and that he needed to be, and that I probably needed to get to the hospital. It was kind of like they shooed me away from the scene. So we go to the hospital, but he told me before we left, because I was trying to get details and figure out what happened. He said, when you get to the hospital, there'll be an investigator there that'll talk to you and tell you. The nursing, the staff at Huntsville Hospital told us that they wouldn't allow the nursing rep to speak to us to tell us whether he was alive or what had happened, because the investigator from here told her not to speak to us. And then so after we were outside for about 45 minutes, I went in and begged the security guard to go and speak to someone to allow her to go in to at least tell her if he's dead or alive, you know? So then when they do allow her in, they send her out of a back door, a side door. I mean, it was all just ridiculous, like completely egregious. But she was never, like, there was no level of comfort given at all. And from speaking with one of the hospital staffs, what we were told was that Huntsville Hospital was out of the jurisdiction of Decatur, the city of Decatur. So because it was a police-involved shooting with Decatur Police Department, they weren't allowed to give any information. Steve was never going into surgery, so when people say, well, there was trauma, so he had to be taken to Huntsville Hospital, well, they didn't perform surgery, so I'm not sure if, and as long as they let him lay there at the house, I'm not necessarily sure that they had to take him to Huntsville. I personally believe they took him so that they wouldn't have to give us any information. But again, the same way that situation was handled has been consistent with what has happened, what we all experienced with this whole thing. I mean, the lack of, just the disregard, complete disregard. And every week we're here, and it feels like it's a bit redundant, because it feels like we're begging for something that we're, at this point, doesn't seem like we'll ever get. I get it that you guys say that there's nothing else that you can do, but him, I don't even know where we go from here. You know, I don't know how we even get to a place of healing, because that is a sore every time we come in here, right there.
Thanks, Alvin. Maggie.
I have two questions. First of all, McMaster, I but you can ask him. But when you got on the media and you told the media that Renshaw had nothing in his record, nothing within his file, that was reported about 48 news.
I've never talked to 48 about any personal issues.
The media reported that Renshaw had nothing in his file. He never was a clean slate. You need to go back and recant that.
Well, I'm gonna go look at it because I don't talk about personnel
It
issues.
was on the news, because I watched
It was on the
that.
news? Yeah. Let me know what date that
Since
was.
you're
I
the
will.
liaison, you need to go back and recant
I will
that
go
and
look
show
at
that
that.
he does have things in his record. And we got proof of more than just one, Herman. More than just one. And second question is for you, Jacob. How long is it gonna take this third party to get done?
I hope quickly, but I do think it's important that it's thorough. I think we all would agree with that. When I talk to them, which is just to get general updates, they say they're well on their way, but I don't have a date.
Okay, so next council meeting, can you give us a ballpark?
I can try to, yeah, I can ask them that, yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
One thing I want to say, when he was asking me about them being charged, you said the grand jury have to be convened. No, they don't. No, they do not, because if I go out here and shoot somebody, you ain't gonna call a grand jury. If it's probable cause, you're gonna press charges.
For arresting, yes, but he said they were charged, so, yeah.
If I go out here and kill somebody, you mean tell me you gonna wait for a grand jury to charge me? No, you're not.
Herman, can you speak to that? I mean,
No, he probably gonna say it's under gag or two. What is it? See, he ain't gonna say nothing.
Well, I can either answer or not answer, it's up to you. All right. In order, you can be arrested, okay? And charged, okay? But
Without
then
a grand
then they have to
jury.
convene a
Without a
grand.
grand jury, right?
Yeah, then you have to have a
Well,
grand jury.
that's fine.
That doesn't have to be a grand jury for that.
That's a good point. I missed that. But to have a charge that then you arrest somebody and bring them in, there is going to be a grand jury conviction.
It'll be a grand jury after, but if you have them charged.
That's fair, and like I've said multiple times, sometimes I say stuff that's wrong, and if you point it out to me, I'll admit it.
Yeah, I'm gonna point it out, right?
Hey, I know you will.
I'm gonna point it out. But no, the only thing we were saying, we don't understand why y'all just.
That's why I need to give those questions to Herman to begin with.
I don't know what Herman can and can't.
Yeah.
But I love Herman. But, I'm just saying, I don't know. I don't understand why, what's the whole, I don't get it. I mean, most cities, when it's a law enforcement and something, they'll go ahead and rush the case to go ahead and get it. I mean, y'all keep prolonging and pushing back dates and, I mean, I don't.
That has nothing to do with us. That's the Morgan County District Attorney's Office.
Excuse me?
That has nothing to do with us. That has to do with the judge and the attorneys that are dealing with the Marquette. That we have no relevance with them whatsoever. We have no relevance.
But I'm sure you.
Nobody up here does.
Anyway, I really didn't. But I was really talking.
Because we have a rogue DA, if that's what to your question. Because we have a rogue district attorney. That's why I'm a part of that gallery. That's why. She asked her the question. I answered her question. I answered her question.
Why? You ain't even supposed to be talking. We ain't supposed to talk to y'all. So why you talking? Hey,
Continue.
you gotta have the same respect that we're getting here.
Just make sure.
Continue.
Make sure that road what he just said.
He's watching everything.
Sierra Taylor.
Just a job.
I'm struggling. I'm struggling because I'm struggling to say this in a nice, decent way. I am furious with the city. I mean, I'm beyond furious. We're getting FTAs. We're getting bogus charges on stuff from 6 years ago, 3 years ago. They're digging up stuff on us to try to revoke us and keep us sitting in Morgan County Jail. How do you guys feel about this?
If there's any kind of targeting, I've said that's
Oh, it's happening and it's
inappropriate.
documented.
And we will, if that's the case, there should be repercussions.
The next question I have is for you, Jacob. How do we get rid of this child?
I think we've approached that question.
Because he's more than pissing the city off.
2025, there's an election, and that is the only way.
We need him gone way before then. Way before then. Next question is for you, Herman. Hello, you hear me?
I'm with you.
Okay. What, sure. Where are you at on maybe seeing about Justin Shepherd's house getting fixed? It's been almost a year. Every time I go up there, there's heat coming in his house. Half his plugs don't work. I mean, it's a miserable situation to be living in.
I understand. That is being handled by the insurance carrier and Mr. Shepherd's attorney, and that's where they...
And it goes through you as well.
Huh?
And it's going through you as well.
No, ma'am. It's an insurance matter now.
I'm sorry. Look, this is to my people. More than one person needs people outside their houses now, okay? It's no longer just this mayor that we need to be in front of their houses. The next thing is, it is my personal mission at this point to bring down anyone that's corrupt in this city. I will do my research. I will have anyone file any reports. I will go anywhere I need to go. If I've got to go to Washington, D.C. to get something done, I'm going. You guys have almost destroyed my life with what happened with Jack Brown and Renshaw because of the medical time we was off work. I mean, we've had emotional, financial, and physical damages. And I get no answers. Renshaw retires with, oh, there's nothing in his jacket. No, because they were still sitting on Internal Affairs' desk. Something should have been done way before then. They should not have still been sitting on that desk. How long did it take for this fire lieutenant to get his, after an anonymous phone call? Because none of this has been anonymous. We've got videos, we've got names, we've got pictures, we've got anything that anyone needs. And it's been 4 months since Jack Brown punched me in my face, and I have no answers. The only thing I got from this city was it's been handed over to the mayor and personnel board and or courts. That doesn't tell me anything. Because as far as I know, while my family's been suffering and going through pure hell, this man's been sitting behind a desk getting paid. So, I don't feel like being peaceful no more. I'm not gonna lie. I don't feel like going to jail, so I'm being peaceful. But I don't feel like it no more, and I ain't gonna be mad if somebody else don't. Because at this point, the city deserves what the hell the city gets.
Thank you.
So, can anyone tell me anything about Jack Brown?
I
Can
don't
any of
know
you guys tell me
anything, but
I mean, even...
You say you haven't been given any answers?
No.
Okay, I'll see what I can do to get you some answers, okay?
All right.
That's fair enough.
Elena Daly.
I mean, John, give me a second, because a lot of us haven't heard the story that Petrella and Alan were well enough to bring up here today. People in the movement haven't heard that story of what happened at Huntsville Hospital. I'm sure they were saving that for trial, because Lord knows when trial comes, all y'all's mouths are gonna drop. I didn't hear that story beforehand, that Huntsville Hospital denied them access. Did you know I used to work at Huntsville Hospital as an EMS? Did you know that it was my #1 priority to make sure family members knew what was going on to their family members? That was my #1 job. And I didn't just drive an ambulance. I'm not here to cause beef of what happened with your website last week. I'm here to talk about this. So, to piggyback on Mike, your city is releasing warrants on people years later. Maybe you didn't know that, but you need to be made aware now, because I was made aware that you were putting Tanisha Golston, your now judge of your circuit city, in office right as she was dealing with a case of mine. She was the attorney for my step-grandmother, who I now have a restraining order against because she filed 13 false reports against me to DHR. Tanisha Golston was her attorney, and she dropped out last minute 2 days before our court date because she was told by the city she needed to run for a city judge. 2 days after, Nate Allen retired.
Go and tell it.
I'm gonna go on and tell it because I was told by one of your city council members this story. I am not the person that needs to deliver it. I am not the right color. I'm gonna tell you that right now. But I'm telling you right now that you hired Tanisha Golston because Nate Allen was forced out. And you felt that the only way to connect with your city was to have somebody of black in power. Coming from one of your own, whether you believe it or not. Nate Allen showed up at a town hall shortly after this happened, not because he was trying to show us where we were wrong. He was trying to educate us on where we were right and where we were pushing things forward. I do believe that one of you here today is trying to do that same thing and has been giving us innuendos throughout the past few months. So now I do know how our mayor will not receive his retirement benefits and will be out before August of 2025. It requires an impeachment. It requires 3 of our council members to reach out to our Alabama House of Representatives. We require 20 Alabama House of Representative members to agree that a vote should be made in the Alabama House of Representatives to impeach Mayor Tab Bowling.
Yes.
Once that vote is made, once that vote is made, it will go to the Senate and they will hold him accountable for every single count that he can be held for. And I'll get into what each count he can be held for, because every single public comment meeting that he does not show up for is negligence. But I won't get into that too far. I will tell you that every single news station, not just Fox 48, not just 31, not just our local news, reported that from the city themselves through the HR department and from our police department that Joe Renshaw had no complaints filed against him.
You can quit looking at me.
Now,
say that.
Now, I will go ahead and say that because I received a email on July 10th from Selby De Leon, the Internal Affairs Investigator of Decatur Police Department, who also was involved with telling the news stations that Joe Renshaw had no complaints filed against him, showing that we as a movement were not doing our civic duty. But we did, because this is the email I received. Pursuant to Decatur Police Department policy, you are hereby notified that an investigation was conducted into the allegations against former Lieutenant Joseph Renshaw. The department's Office of Professional Standards found policy violations. As you are aware, the former lieutenant was allowed to retire during the middle of the investigation, and as such, the investigation was not completed. So does anybody up here want to tell me why he was allowed to retire? Because if he had an open investigation against him in the HR department, lie to me again, Jacob, because I already looked it up, he is not allowed to retire until that investigation is concluded.
I'll answer.
So what, wait, let me finish my initial question altogether.
Well, we're at 4.5
So how do you
minutes.
expect the community to trust this police department, let alone you as politicians, to ensure that this will be fixed?
We're at 4.5 minutes, so I will answer your questions when you're finished. The first thing I will say about Judge Golston is I voted for her because I asked about 20 or more judges and attorneys and all kinds of people about her qualifications and those of the others, and she, I said, you can go back and watch the meeting. You can view everything I said about it. I said, I don't know.
And just
Are
you
you going to let me talk or not?
I mean, I will, but if you're going to cut me off at the very end of it not to respond, then that's not open communication, Jacob.
I will communicate with you, but you're at 5 minutes, so I will answer your questions because a lot of the things you said are not true. So the reason I voted for Takesha is because she was highly qualified and highly recommended by people of all different backgrounds, everything. She had very, very good recommendations.
And she wasn't running.
She didn't run. She applied, just like every other judge candidate. It's a position we hire. It's not elected. So that's number one. Number two, on impeachment, I am not aware, and I have talked to the League of Municipalities, I've talked to attorneys, I've talked to everyone, because that has been a question since nearly the first year we were in office. And every single person tells me there is zero mechanism for impeachment for a council member or a mayor. So if you have other information, I'm glad, we can talk about it. I'm glad to research that
I sent you
for
your email,
you.
but you never responded. I hope your city knows that. You
Show
don't
me,
respond.
show me the email. Show me the email.
I sent it to you on email.
I never got it, so I would like to make sure if you sent it to me that there's not
I
an
sent
issue.
everything on Joe Renshaw on email, and you said you never got it. So how am I
Show me
supposed
the
to
email
ensure-
because
J.L. Ladner, right? At J. Ladner at Decatur, whatever.
Yes,
Here
but
we
I've-
go.
I've
Here we
not
go.
gotten
I'll
an
show you
email
the
from
email
you.
right here in front of your entire city. This may not be the multiple and the most of your community, but this is a community that cares, and
So,
this is the community that's going to make sure you're
once
voted
again,
out.
on impeachment,
All right.
I'm not aware of any mechanism. I've had discussions with you all. It's not true. So we will research it if that's something you.
Alabama Code 36 talks
Okay.
about impeachment.
The last thing I would say, yeah.
You never got this. It was forwarded to you.
Okay.
It was forwarded to you. It was forwarded to you, and it was forwarded to you.
This
It's
says
from
that you
Selby
sent it to
Line.
Selby.
No, up at the top where it's forwarded. Can you read an email?
I'm having to scroll. I don't know how high you want me to
At the top, it
go.
says forwarded to Jacob Ladner, J. Ladner.
I do not see that, so we can talk about it later.
We
But
can talk about it later.
on the
It's
Renshaw,
right here.
on the
You can see it
Renshaw,
right here. J. Ladner, David Gambino, K. Pike.
I will go try to find it, but I do not get an email from you. The last thing on Renshaw's retirement, we do not control, if there is a criminal investigation, correct? That could be something that could hold up a retirement. An
Well, the
internal.
RSA determines that, not.
RSA, everything about retirement is done through RSA directly. It can be directly. It is not through us. So I'm just correcting things that are said that are untrue.
They're correct. You just don't want to fix them because they're corrupt.
You guys work for the city. The city of Decatur sends.
We can, but you can apply directly through
You're
RSA.
corrupt. We just called you out.
Justin, you're up.
They send it over to them, so they didn't send them nothing.
But it's against the law for us. It is against the law for us to hinder RSA retirement requests.
No, they have a own way.
I'm just telling you the truth,
That's not
and you don't have to believe it. Justin.
We can impeach him.
I'll say if that's the law, absolutely.
Then we got one. Impeach him.
I would like to talk to them.
Okay. Alabama Code 36.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Are the directors hourly employees?
They have hourly pay. I'm not sure the details of that. Are all directors hourly employees or some exempt? Some are exempt.
Directors are salaried employees, but there is an hourly rate.
There's a rate that in their hiring range.
So does that include city council meetings within their pay?
Yes, if they're attending city council meetings and they're not, they would get paid overtime if they're attending, could get
Well,
overtime.
directors don't get paid overtime.
But if they're not a director, because sometimes we have non-directors.
Yes, they're not, all employees except directors are entitled to overtime. Okay?
That'd be nice if that's what I asked.
Well, I said I couldn't hear what you asked. I'm sorry.
Okay,
I was trying to answer his question.
I'll let you read it. Do you consider, are directors hourly employees?
I answered that.
They're not.
I said that they are salaried, but there's an hourly rate that's determined. Salary, that means, we do not get overtime, and,
Does that pay include them attending city council meetings?
if the council so chooses, yes. All right, let me do it.
I'll rephrase this since it's not
Here
getting
it
passed.
is.
No, you can't answer it. So, did you guys decide that directors get paid for city council meetings since it's such a hard question?
We have not done that.
So they don't get paid, or
No.
they don't get paid for city?
Not a director, no. Or anyone that's exempt, yes.
It's a part of that hour.
You said it is part of their hours?
But not overtime.
They cut off from the daytime, they man cut the hours and then add this on.
Okay, do you guys up here consider yourselves subject matter experts of every department within the city?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so why would you guys allow the directors and the subject matters experts to leave when there's public comment that might have questions pertaining to their department?
They don't report to us. We're not in charge of operations, but if there are questions that apply to them, and there have been one or two tonight, we can reach out to them and get those answers.
So is what goes on in the city not part of their job?
It is. I mean, they directly are performing operational duties.
Well, that's what I'm saying, like, if I have issues, I mean, some people up here have been asked numerous questions, and the response is, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know.
Every week.
Typically, if you have a question and you were to ask me, and it was something I'm not a subject matter expert in, I would ask the director who is and get back to you.
But I mean, there's been questions that have been posed up here to where some people don't get back in a timely manner.
I can't speak to that.
When
but
certain individuals ask questions, it takes months to get answers.
Yeah.
Other individuals, the next week they get an answer. They're approached outside of the chambers or something.
Yeah, I try to do that. I can't speak to anything other than me, but.
I just want to say this too in closing. There's a lot. There is a lot about the Steve Perkins case that you don't know, that you don't know, that you definitely don't know, and you don't have a freaking clue. I will tell you that now. So before you get online running your mouth, or you sit there and say something off, you need to check yourself.
You just accused me for saying I don't know.
Let's just go ahead, let him speak.
I can.
I mean, you just give me a hard time for saying I don't know, so.
No, you decided to talk crap out in the hallway. You want to get into that? That's what I thought. Like I said, there's a lot that you guys don't know. And you need to show a little bit of respect about this case, because it affected people's lives a lot more than you know. I promise you, you don't know. Don't get up here acting like you do, because you do. Because it's going to come off the wrong way. I just hope you guys there's a lot I want to say, but I'm holding back. And it's, for the record, it's not threats, it's not intimidation. There's a lot of genuine concerns I have. And there's only one person up here on this council who's actually took time out of their day to actually genuinely listen and show compassion when others have not. And I just want to say thank you to that individual that has, and shame on the rest of you for not. Justice for Steve.
All right, we are adjourned. Thanks.
Maggie, how dare you go road and such stuff? How dare you?